Ashley, what would you view as a successful series from here on out? Obviously you want to win it, but there are obviously other issues at stake here with the inexperience of your team. Thanks.
Yeah, there's different ways of viewing the series. Obviously you want to be successful, you want to win the series outright. But there's other successes to be had. So with a reasonably and an experienced bowling attack in particular, and also someone like Carberry playing at the top of the order, we have an opportunity to look at some young players. And if we came through the series and they'd had some success and they'd moved on, they'd improved, it gives us a much greater pool of players to look at down the line, particularly with 2015 in mind. So, experience against this Australian side, hugely valuable for them and for us looking at players.
Does that mean you can't get too upset when things don't go so well as they didn't on Sunday?
Look, we always get upset when we lose. We wouldn't be in these jobs if we weren't. But a great example would be someone like Ben Stokes, who is playing in the side as our third seamer. Someone whose bowling has improved a huge amount over the last 12 months. His one-day record is actually domestically not too bad and improving, but has the potential to be a genuine all-rounder in the team. Him playing in that role, and I think he's already improved game on game, should be a great advantage to us and to him in the future. Whether that's, I'm not sure that's a role he's going to play down the line, batting at 8 and bowling, but the experience of doing what he's doing right now, as I say, is going to be hugely valuable.
Ashley, are you happy you got the balance of the side right at Old Trafford, and are you tempted to tweak that here?
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the balance of the side, and that the balance is, as I've just said, Ben is playing as a third seamer. He's someone who, as I said, is an improving bowler, but has good skills, can bowl mid-80s upwards, has the potential to do that role on its own. Otherwise, the balance is what we played during the Champions Trophy when we were very successful. Before Champions Trophy against New Zealand, we played 5 specialist bowlers, and that didn't really work. That's when we brought Ravi back into the side, and obviously since that time he's had a fantastic run in the team. So I don't believe we're just fiddling overs, but when you've got inexperience, you're going to have to suffer some pain occasionally to get some gain, and that's a little bit of what we're looking at. But saying that, there's no reason why this team can't win these games of cricket. And it was an exceptional batting performance by Australia the other day. We didn't get a wicket for about 22 overs, and they played Treadwell extremely well in the middle. So, there's a lot of reasons why we lost that game, not just due to our inexperience.
If you were to bring either Jamie or Chris in, what qualities would they bring, and what would you see in those guys?
Well, already having them around the group is really beneficial to us. Me as the head coach, obviously David Saker as the bowling coach, and to them, surely, for the experience. Overton's raw, he's got pace, he's aggressive, fits with our sort of profile of big, tall, nasty fast bowlers. Jordan's also been very impressive. He bowls good lengths, can bat, fields everywhere. So, I'm building him up into being a superstar already, which I don't mean to do for him, but 2 very promising young cricketers coming through the ranks, and we had to rest some of our senior bowlers this series with back-to-back Ashes, and it's a great opportunity to look at these young guys.
Boyd Rankin, another guy who fits that profile, big bowler. How impressed have you been with him, and is it too soon to start putting him in the frame possibly for a place in the Ashes squad in the winter?
I think we've got to be careful. He's played 2 games for us, but game on game he's improved. Again, big, tall, can bowl quickly. I think he can bowl quicker than he has so far. But he's bound to be a little bit nervous and feeling his way in. But performed well in the last game. And he's another example of someone, if you came out the series and you'd added to your fast bowling stocks, the series not totally done its job because we are here to win it, but would be a huge benefit.
Actually, Michael Vaughan's a friend of yours. When you hear him say that, spectators ought to get a bit of a refund for that they purchased tickets in advance for these games because the nature of the sides changed so much.
Yeah.
How do you respond to that?
It's harsh, I think. I think it's said in haste, really, from Michael. But you look at the side; it's a very exciting side to come and watch play still. Kevin Peterson, Michael Carberry is a very exciting batter at the top of the order, inexperienced again. Then you go Trott, Root, Morgan, Bapara, Butler. Some good names to come and watch. Finn, and then you've got the youngsters. So I'd hope the cricketing public would also want to see us bring through some of our young cricketers and expose them to what is almost the harshest of environments, playing Australia.
Actually, you mentioned the balance. I mean, last summer, for example, when you played these 5 games against Australia, you played pretty much your 5 Test match bowlers.
Yeah.
For those guys who are resting or injured. I mean, are you having to rethink about that, or would you go back to those guys when they're available again?
Well, as I said, Ethers, we started with that make-up, that balance against New Zealand, lost those first 2 games against them, and decided we needed a bit more depth in batting at that point. So we moved Butler to 7 and Bapara back in. And Ravi's one-day record with the ball is very good. Root also gives us options with his off-spin. So no, we're not currently thinking about it, but we always leave that option open. Depends on your personnel, as you say, and the wickets you play on. If wickets are livelier, they might go through a bit more. You might play four big guys, but at this stage, I don't see us making any huge changes.
So tomorrow you wouldn't expect Jordan or Overton to come in for a batter, for example?
Look, we've discussed it, but I'm not going to tell you right now. But
they seem to premeditated assault on Treadwell, wasn't it, by the Australians?
Excellent batting against Treadwell, but Treaders has had a lot of success in one-day cricket, and to play that sort of game plan is risky as well, because if it doesn't come off, Treadwell's shown in the past he can pick up wickets, and the thing that really cost us the other day was not getting wickets for that middle period. And you generally do that not through anything other than doing the process really well, bowling the ball in the right place and keeping the run rate down and putting the batting side under pressure. But they played extremely well. Michael Clarke is one of the best players in the world, so he's going to hurt you occasionally.
I suppose Ben is like for Bresnan, isn't it? Which is a pivotal role in that side. You don't get ready-made replacements for a role like that.
No, you don't. You don't get ready-made replacements for Broad, Bresnan, Anderson. So again, the exposure is crucial, and it's hard on these young guys at times because we're asking them to do a lot, but we're asking them to do it because we believe they can. And if this exposure goes the right way, we've got a much greater pool of players to look at for 2015, because we just never know what's around the corner, whether it be injury, retirements in some cases. So we have to be prepared for everything.
I was watching the semi-final last night. A couple of the pundits couldn't understand why Bell and Cook weren't playing. They could get the bowlers missing. But can you just explain why Bell and Cook specifically are not playing in this series?
Well, there's obviously for the bowlers, it's mainly the physical wear of playing an Ashes series, and that's relevant to the batsmen as well. But there's also the mental wear that and tiredness that will be. Bell's had an amazing series. He's been out in the middle for most of the series, and Cook also, as captain, you can't underestimate the amount of wear it can put on you leading the side through an Ashes series, and we felt it right that those two guys had a break this series and come back fresh for the second Ashes.
Does it, as the one-day coach, does it frustrate you a little bit that clearly, based on that, the Ashes is more of a priority than one-day cricket?
Well, in our strategic objectives right now, we've got back-to-back Ashes, and they are. We've got to get through these 2 Ashes series. We want to win both Ashes series. And then, of course, when we get into the new year, we move that focus more towards World Cup 15. So at the moment, while it's always frustrating to any coach that you can't have your best side in the middle, the reasoning's absolutely spot on. That we've got to look after our best players, whilst looking at the next generation coming through. And of course, your Cook and Bell are missing out, but we've got Peterson back in the side, who's fantastic to watch for the public, and a great bloke to have in the side for me as coach. Carberry deserves his place, or deserves his chance on what he's done this year, and he'll get a run. And we all hope he does really well in this series.
That balance between sort of short-term and the long-term development of youngsters is important, that they don't have a sort of a completely bad experience of losing early on in the career as well. So that's presumably quite tricky.
Yeah, it is balance, and I guess in an ideal world you'd pull one out and you'd put one in. It's not always an ideal world, in this situation particularly. But we get to find out as well, and we're not just going to keep running through the mill if we think it's having a negative effect on them. So at times, with any player, you put them into that environment, and sometimes you just have to pull them back and wait a bit more and then get them back in. And that's, I suppose, part of our jobs is getting that timing right. But I'm very confident that any one of these guys, when they go into this environment, yes, they're going to find it tough, because they should do, but they can deal with it, and with our support and our coaching staff and the other players, they can get through it.
Have you ascertained the availability of senior players for 2015, particularly Swan? And in light of that, do you have a view about Sami Patel's comments in the last few days?
Firstly, on the availability, as far as I'm aware at the moment, all the current crop are available for World Cup 15, which is exciting for me. Samit's comments, he's obviously frustrated. It's always easy, and it can be easy sometimes, for those guys on the outside of the group to be better than those inside the group. Our balance has changed a little bit, as we've talked about a lot, with Ravi batting at 6 and bowling. His record's extremely good in one-day cricket, and he's done extremely well in this last few months. So whilst I can understand Samit's frustrations, I'd like to know where he gets into the side right now, because we've got some very good cricketers in that 11. He just needs to keep working hard, keep putting the figures on the board, and working hard elsewhere as well.